Hello! I look like an egg. Welcome back. We are doing it, guys. Currently 17th of November. Finished reading After the Forest by Kel Woods. After the Forest, A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. I'm so sorry. I haven't read any of this. I've just heard that it's really sad.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
I've watched snippets, this is what I mean. I've tried not to watch full videos by other people because I want to go in blind, and I just know that it's going to be sad. But there's potentially going to be trigger warnings. Like I said, I don't know yet. I am scared, guys. Looking at the writing is very small. If we look at After the Forest, for example, so I am very intimidated. When I did, obviously, if you've watched my Halloween video, I mean, if you haven't, go watch it now. But if you've watched that, you'd have seen that I get intimidated by small writing. I do intend to try and get this done before Christmas because I've got another Christmas video that I want to make for you guys. I'm not going to do exactly what I did in the Halloween video where I do like little jump cuts of me making cups of tea and stuff like that. I'm just going to read this on my own time, and then I'll jump back in and record myself when I've got something interesting to say. Four classmates from a small Massachusetts college moved to New York to make their way. They're broke adrift, buoyed only by their friendship and ambition. Talking about the challenges of life, the different relationships and trauma. Oh god, that's probably one of the trigger warnings. There's chapters, but there's like different segments to it. There's an actual like list of contents. So there's 7 different kind of segments, and I'm not going to read them because I don't want to spoil it. So no, I will see you when I've got an update, when I've actually started reading some of this. I'm doing a phone update. I thought I'd make the visual better than the audio for once. So I've been reading this for a while. It's taken me a while to get to the first, like, where I am now. I've just finished the first part, so like I said at the beginning, I've just completed Lisbon Street. This video might contain like the odd few spoilers here and there. I've finished the first part and I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't cry last night, so I finished the first part last night and I really wish I'd recorded as soon as I had read it. Basically, we've got to keep an eye on Jude. Jude is I think he's a lawyer. JB is kind of a little bit of everything at the minute. He likes kind of like the art and like the art scene and all that kind of stuff. There's Malcolm that's, I believe, trying to be an architect, and then who else is there? Willem. There's Willem who's trying to be an actor. There's a bit of a closer bond between Willem and Jude so far. There's things that happen with Jude that everybody kind of knows about, so Willem can kind of like read Jude a little bit better. If you are going to read this, then do research. I think there's 25 trigger warnings that I looked up on. I think I'm going to love this book. I think it is going to destroy me. I thought at first, like, oh no, I don't get, apart from emotional, like romance and stuff like that, I don't really get kind of bothered by that much. I don't want to say that I'm stupid, and I don't want to put myself down. I'm not very smart. I've learned a few words and a few phrases, and I've learned of people in the first 81 pages, and I was keeping track at first, but I thought, that's kind of taking away the first impression of the book. This is a spoiler, guys. I'm going to read you part of the book that kind of like, when I first read it, I had to put the book down and I didn't pick it up for like 2 or 3 days because the phrase, it just kind of didn't trigger something in me, but it made me think, and it made me like question everything. So I'm going to read you the quote out now. There were times when the pressure to achieve happiness felt almost oppressive, as if happiness was something that everyone should and could attain, and that any sort of compromise in its pursuit was somehow your fault. I also got the name of the author wrong. It's Hanya Yanagihara. Guys, I'm not recording my face right now because I look like a slob, but I think I've said this in a Pokemon video before, that the universe kind of works in a weird way. Obviously, I'm still reading A Little Life. I'm on page 128. I'm a little bit overwhelmed because there is things happening. Without trying to spoil it, things are kind of going well. Basically, of all quotes, once upon a time, a boy and a girl lived with their father, a woodcutter, and their stepmother, deep in a cold forest. The woodcutter loved his children, but he was very poor, and then that goes back into the story. What have I just finished reading? After the Forest by Kel Woods, and what is After the Forest based on? Hansel and Gretel. The very thing that A Little Life is quoted. I'm literally speechless, guys. The universe is it's up to some tricks again. This is destroying me, guys. The part that I want to talk about from yesterday, there's a massive trigger warning. I have felt like how Jude felt at that point of that kind of part. There was a conversation about how every month, every week, he chose to open his eyes to live another day in the world. He did it when he was even feeling so awful that sometimes the pain seemed to transport him to another state. He did it when he was so exhausted of trying. I'm not going to go into the rest because I'll start crying again. I went into this book so far thinking it's not going to be that bad. I don't really get triggered much, so I'm not going to read the trigger warnings, and I haven't. I know if this is how it is at this point, then I'm now actually scared for what's to come, because if that's how it is when it's at its mildest form, from what I know towards like halfway to the end, it's 10 times worse. This is reading really easily. To say that this is the kind of book that it is, the writing is so easy to read through. Like yesterday, I read like I said at the beginning of this book, small words on big pages intimidate me. I've kind of been getting progressively better and better with this because, like I said yesterday, I must have read about 40 pages and it felt like 5 pages basically. It just flew by. Once you get into the groove, it kind of just flows, I would say nicely, but there's nothing nice about this book. I forgot to mention, yes, I did have a shave and I do now feel like a fat baby. Oh. Imagine a ruler across the knuckles or a belt. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. He got that kind of stuff, but worse. It got to the point where he was saying like, oh, I feel so dirty, that he'd read that leeches suck out blood. And there was a part where he'd gone to a river looking for leeches just so he could get, in his mind, the dirty blood out of him. In that moment, his sadness was so great, so overpowering, that he wanted to... I need a break. I had a break, and then I literally read about 5 pages and I needed another break. It basically feels like you're getting punched in the stomach over and over and over again. And then you think, oh, let me just persevere with this for a little bit. They'll get tired and stop. And you go to 10 pages later and there's another 10 punches. And it's just constantly bam, bam, bam. And there's no rest. And I'm scared that is how this book is going to be. It's just going to be constantly page after page after page of pain and suffering. Can we just nickname this book Pain instead of A Little Life? Because that's how I'm feeling right now. My webcam just froze, so we'll have to basically re-say what I've just said over again. I'm going to keep looking to the left, guys, because I want to make sure it doesn't crash again. We're getting somewhere, guys, because today I picked up on page 258 and it's now page 306, so it's been nearly 50 pages. The first part of like what I've read so far, like when it's been painful and when it's been sad, it's been more of like physical pain kind of stuff. I can't even speak because like I'm so stressed. Jude doesn't believe that he didn't foresee being in a relationship. Like he basically says that like he's not the kind of person that has a relationship in a sense. We all know Jude's very private about his childhood and everything. So like I said, it was all physical kind of pain, whereas now it's moving on to psychological kind of stuff. There's a bit that's just kind of hit me, but I need to read you an extract. It's quite a big bit. It's like half a page nearly. Again, trigger warning. Once in Texas, one of his clients had been a man who was grotesque, so fat that his stomach had dropped into a pendant of flesh between his legs and covered everywhere with flows? Floes of eczema. The skin so dry that when he moved, small ghostly strips of it floated from his arms and back and into the air. He had been sickened seeing the man, and yet they all sickened him, and so in a way this man was no better or worse than the others. He had given the man's stomach pressing against his neck. The man had cried, apologising to him. I'm sorry, he said, the tips of his fingers on the top of his head. The man had long fingernails, each as thick as bone. Get your crap together, Aaron. And somehow, it's as if over the years he had become the man, and he knows that if anyone was to see him, they too would feel repulsed, nauseated by his deformities. He wouldn't want someone to have to stand before the toilet retching as he had done before, so he will never have to do anything he doesn't want to for food or shelter. Like, honestly, how much pain can one person have? Really into reading it at the minute. I feel like I've gotten, I won't say used to the kind of content that it is, but I'm not needing as much breaks between some of the painful parts.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
I'm not going to keep reading parts out, but at this point in time, I wish Caleb would walk into a road and someone would go over him with their car, basically in a polite manner. This Caleb guy, I really don't like. I did at first. Something happened where Caleb was having a bad day and he kind of took it out on Jude in a sense of like, that kind of stuff is very close to home for me. It's back to the whole sense of like permission. I need to read this bit out, guys. Jude's woke up in bed and realised that he can't walk properly. Emphasis on can't walk properly, isn't choosing to not walk properly. He physically can't walk properly because of the problems with his legs and his feet. Caleb refuses to see that. How's your run? Good, great. Caleb, he says, trying to keep his tone light. Listen, I've been having this problem with my feet. It's just some side effects from nerve damage that comes and goes, but it makes it really difficult for me to walk. This is a sentence that I need you to all pay attention to. Do you mind if I get the wheelchair from my car? Listen to the parts of the sentence. Do you mind if I get the wheelchair from my car? It's not as if he's asking him and saying, do you mind if you get my wheelchair from your car? Or do you mind if you get my wheelchair from my car? It's, do you mind if I get my own physical possession from my also other physical possession? I know your doctor probably disagrees, but I have to say I think there's something a little weak, I guess, about you always going to the easiest solution. I think you have to just endure some things, you know. So it's obviously it's a book. Obviously, if it wasn't in a book, if it was just the whole purpose is because it's a book, and it's got to make the book's got to be interesting in a sense. Otherwise, it'd be boring. No one would want to read it. But I'm so angry that Jude. I know there's like real people out there as well in the same situation, not exactly the same, but similar situations where they have a really crap childhood, and then they think, oh, I'm destined to be alone forever. And then the very first person that comes along that changes that for them reminds them that this was their childhood and they expect nothing different. He still can't quite understand why. So this is talking about like just after I don't know if it was the first or second time that there was like interactions and not in the good way. But you get the idea where I'm going with that. He still can't quite understand why he let Caleb come up that night. If he is to admit it to himself, he feels there was something inevitable, even in a small way, a relief about Caleb's him. All along, he had been waiting for some sort of punishment for his arrogance, for thinking he could have what everyone else has, and here, at last, it was. This is what you get, said the voice inside his head. This is what you get for pretending to be someone you know you're not. For thinking you're as good as other people. He remembered how JB had been terrified of Jackson and how he'd understood his fear. How what seemed so easy, the act of walking away from them, could feel so difficult. He feels about Caleb the way he once felt about Brother Luke, someone he'd hoped could save him. Oh. Mistakes have been made, guys. I somehow managed to make it through work without having a mental breakdown. But after work, I thought, you know what? It's payday for me currently. It's a Friday. And I'm like, I'm going to treat myself to pizza. I'm going to have a Domino's because I'm going to need it to carry on reading this. For me, food is comfort. I thought, if I'm going to read this book more, then why not have pizza? But then I made the mistake of doing it the wrong way around and eating the pizza first and then reading more of this, and now I have no pizza to eat to make myself feel better. And I've also made the mistake of, as I'm like recording this part now, I'm currently uploading the books that I've read of 2024 video, which should be out by now. But it's a 4 gig file. My phone upload speed is 0.5 megabyte per second, meaning that a 4 gig file should take about 17 hours, which means that I am stuck with this for the rest of the night basically, and some of tomorrow morning. Things have happened, and Brother Luke is a douchebag. Mistakes have been horribly made. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can cope. This book, I just feel like it's like hit after hit after hit, and there's just no break. There was a break. There was a brief moment where things went well for Jude. Imagine like when you're in a game and you're about to go against a big boss. Normally they kind of like give you a few little things that might help, and that's when you like realize, oh, we've got a big boss coming up because it's giving me stuff that I might need. Back when I said like, oh, something happy is happening, oh no, this means that something really bad is gonna happen, and yes it is. And I don't know how much longer I can take of this, guys. I am struggling. As Hannah from A Clockwork, I can't remember her channel name, she couldn't cope with this book as well, and I sometimes ask myself, why am I reading this book for a video? Why didn't I do my research? This is what I'm basically saying. You know, if someone was to say to me now, should I read this book? No, you should not read this book. Just because I'm popularising this book even more by putting content about this book on the internet, I still don't think you should. I know I'm making it worse because hopefully people will watch this video and see that this book has got such an effect on people that they think, oh, I want to see what that is. No, you don't. He learnt how to live with it, in a sense. But it kind of stopped as a child. And then he had his whole teenage years and his young adult years to kind of figure out life and live with the pain that he got from a child. Okay, understandable. We've all got some kind of trauma. You think like, oh, it's gonna go easy for him because he's had the trauma. He's dealing with it. Well, he's not dealing with it because he's not going to see a therapist or anything, but he's learned how to survive, in a sense. But if your name's Caleb, get the fuck out. Caleb is such a horrible person. Because obviously Jude has obviously spent his entire teenage years to adulthood figuring out how to survive and actually surviving with the trauma from his childhood. He's now gained this extra trauma on top of his childhood trauma. It's so graphic, it's so detailed that it's almost as if you've witnessed the thing that's happening itself. It's basically just pure trauma. Do I want to carry on reading this book? No. I should really stop right now. All I want to do right now is just, I don't know what I actually want. I want my pages back, I want my time back, I want to unread this book. We're over halfway. I don't know how I'm going to finish this book. I would love to like have a conversation with Hanya and literally figure out what she was thinking, what her life has been like, or if she's talking from experience to be able to write something like this, or if she's that crazy enough to just have this sort of stuff come to her and think, oh, I'll write that for a book, I'll let millions of people read this. Why would you want to read this? Why would you want to write this, Hanya? Why do you think this is acceptable for other people to read? I have so much respect for all of the people that have edited this book and helped Hanya write it, because I don't know how difficult it was for her to write this. I don't know if it was even difficult at all for her to write it. But for the people that had to constantly go back and forth and reread parts for edits and stuff, I can't imagine the kind of pain, or if they even got used to it or not. I thought I got used to this when I said, oh, I've managed to start reading more than 10 pages in a row again. Got used to some of the trauma. No, I haven't. We're on the happy years. What I've realised with this book is that Hanya likes to make just random little comments about anything and everything. And at the time, it's like, you're not even surprised by it. You just see a comment and you're like, oh, okay, part of the book, I guess. And then like 200 pages later, it goes back to that single comment of that was actually a really important piece of information, but you just didn't realise it at the time. If this ends exactly how I think it ends, I am burning the book and I am gonna cry myself to sleep for weeks on end, because I need this to end happily, and it's not gonna end happily. And I just want to put this here because this could be a funny little callback later on to when we actually get to the ending to see if I was right or not. I don't understand why Hanya's like allowing it, because surely in the real world today, if somebody did what Jude did, then they would be forced to see a therapist, basically. You imagine the definition of trauma, and you just imagine Jude. I almost feel like I'm second-hand feeling the trauma that Jude has felt because of how Hanya has written this book. Things are going well for Jude at the minute, which is obviously evident with why it's called The Happy Years. I swear, if this flips it around and then it doesn't end happy, I literally don't know what I'll do with myself. That was it, the house, guys. The house. So, as it currently stands, obviously, as I'm recording this, it's 21st of December. It's literally mere days away from Christmas. I've been in the process of looking at moving, and my dad's been looking at buying a house. Yesterday we got the confirmation that the offer had been officially accepted. I could be moving, and I could have internet, and I could like have my own. I know I've got my own place now, but like the purpose of my dad buying this property is so I can rent it off of him, and then eventually like he's buying it outright. And then the money that I cover in rent will cover the cost of like basically paying for it. So buying my own house essentially. And I can't even be happy about it because I'm too busy being sad about this book. And I'm like, this is a momentous time in my life that I am in my 30s, that I'm finally sticking a leg on the ladder of owning my own house. I can't be happy about it yet because of this. Because of Hanya Yaginahara. So I want to get this book done. I think in the next few days I will. And you know what? It's actually, thinking about it, it's the best time to get this book read because, like I said, it's nearly Christmas. I hate Christmas. I struggle at Christmas. I'm seeing friends. What's the best time to get the most depressing book that I think, like, literally, I will quote this as, I thought that The First to Die at the End. This book was the most depressing book I've ever read. Turns out I was wrong. As Hannah from A Clockwork Reader said, why am I doing this? Why am I reading this book for a video? Because it's not healthy for me. And I completely understand where she's coming from now, because my whole life is being affected by this book, and the sooner I'm done with it, the better. I mean, I love this book because I love like how strongly it's made me feel, because a book that doesn't make you feel shouldn't be a book, because in my opinion, what's the point of a book if it doesn't do anything? Although yes, it is making me feel in a bad way, it's still making me feel something. So yeah, this is a great book. This is probably going to be a 5 out of 5. Oh, no matter how much trauma you get, you can still pull through the other side, because no, there is no message to this book so far, or if there is, it is completely gone over my head because I'm too busy drowning in the trauma that Hanya has created. Ignore the hair, it is wet. I've just had a shower. I have just had to force myself to have a shower to distract myself from the fact that I feel violently bleh because of this book. I am violently ill. I am violently not doing well, guys, and I'm angry, like, for the first time reading this book, for the fact that Hanya is either extremely smart or extremely dumb. Hanya is that dumb. Jude clearly needs help. Every single person in Jude's life is letting him down at this point. How can so many people claim to love Jude? How can so many people claim to say that they want what's best for him when they don't do that? What would be best for Jude at this point is to get the actual help from a specialist. Anya is just letting everybody in Jude's life betray him, in the sense of, oh, we want what's best for Jude. We'll trust that Willem has got Jude's best intentions at heart. But no, Willem's swanning off getting his other acting jobs and being away for months on end. And Jude, he's got Andy, he's got other people to talk. There's Harold, there's Julia, there's Malcolm, there's JB. There's all these people in Jude's life, and they've all failed him in the sense that they knew that there was something bad about Jude's childhood. They knew. They claimed to have known Jude since he was in college. Jude was 18. They're now 44. So, what, 20 years? They've known each other for 20 years. And Jude does something so bad, so crazy. Well, it's not crazy because it's, to him, it's the only thing. It's the only option. And they still leave him by himself. This book is dangerous. Like, I'm not even exaggerating this just for the video's sake. This book, if someone, I know every single person lives in different situations to other people, but if someone in a similar situation to Jude reads this book, and so far, depending on how it ends, like I said, I don't know, if they read it how it's reading so far, it is dangerous for them, and that is on Hanya for writing this book, because she put this book into the world knowing what she'd written. Oh dear, what a day. My whole body is shaking, and it isn't because I've just eaten a whole tub of Ben & Jerry's ice cream. My body is repulsed. It's almost as if my body's in shock. So we've kind of like found out more about Brother Luke, and Luke is basically the scum of Earth. The very first two people in his life, the two people that brought him into this world, betrayed him. Basically, from a child, he didn't even know his parents. They just left him, they abandoned him. He was taken into the monastery, and they did horrible, sick things to him. The people that were supposed to then protect him broke that trust. And then you've got Brother Luke, who was supposed to be a brother of the monastery, who turned out to be a complete sicko. He was saying to Jude, like, oh, I'll be your father and everything. Like, he was kind of like a father figure for him for a little bit. Then he betrayed him. The thing that I've just found out recently was that Jude was taken into the state, into the government, because he was still underage. And the counsellors that are there to protect children that have been through things also betrayed him. They did things to him exactly like the monastery. Oh my god, his friends, they turn a blind eye. If I'd not spent so much time in this book already, if I had not dedicated reading it, if I had not forced myself to read more and more for the sake of a video, if I was reading this outside of YouTube, I would have put this down by now. Like, I don't want to make this video anymore, and I feel it would be such an injustice to the amount of pain that I've forced myself to endure reading this book that I've got to see it through. You should not read this book. I do not recommend this book. Back and forth each day, I have questions in my head of, is this a 10 out of 5 or is this like a minus bazillion out of 5? I don't want people to think, oh my god, this book is affecting this person so much, like, let me go and read it, because no. This book, it's like my friend asks me, like, every time I see them or message them, like, they're like, oh, how are you getting on with A Little Life? And I'm like, I'm not getting on with A Little Life. I want people to, if they choose to read this book, I want no part of it. I can't have it on good conscience that I've influenced people to read this book. This book is costing me an arm and a leg. I had Domino's last week on payday, on Thursday. I had 2 Domino's. I've been eating so much chocolate. And then now, obviously, McDonald's drink there. I've literally just been to McDonald's because I'm stressed. I've got a very horrible feeling that Willem is gonna... I am thinking that because he's important to Jude, and anything that kind of gives Jude happiness, we all know doesn't exist. So I'm scared that Willem isn't going to exist very soon. And that's what people have been crying over. Oh, I do have red lights as well, by the way. I forgot to mention it. Like I said, it's 27th of December. I got some string lights from my mum for Christmas. Can't change colour, so it's very pink. I mean, it could be good for a Valentine's theme video. I don't talk about my mental health online, ever. It's something that changes all the time. But I've been numb in the past, like, for years. Like, literally numb to the point of, like, I don't feel anything. Again, laughing so I don't cry. This book, like, thankfully, I managed to get out of that. This book is putting me right back there again. I was that overwhelmed, and that's obviously you saw the crying bits. I'm scared that I'm going to literally break down and have a mental break. I don't know why I'm laughing because it's not funny, but I think I'm going to have a mental breakdown finishing this. I can't cope. I actually can't cope. I'm sorry if there's loads of background noise at the minute. Every single neighbour around me seems to be having a mental breakdown like me. I'm here. I'm on Dear Comrade. You know, earlier when I made a joke saying that I've got a feeling that someone's gonna unalive, and that's probably gonna have a knock-on effect and probably unalive the other person. They've literally just called it the happy years because it is the happiest years of their life. And obviously, as I said, this book is not going to end happy. Oh my god. I don't want to know. This book that I've only invested a month and a half into my life hurts more than what 15 years of Grey's Anatomy did to me. I don't want to know how it happened! You don't visit Lost, you visit the people who search for the Lost. So, not only did we get the poster of Willem with the controversial advertisement, the big thing that happened 30 odd pages ago happened on Thanksgiving. Opening Thanksgiving Day, the poster read. That's not painful enough, let's give you a reminder. So that song by Taylor Swift, I know we're probably not all Taylor Swift fans that's watching this. I'm gonna read the lyrics out again because I need you to know like how much they mirror each other. So how much sad did you think I had in me? How much tragedy, just how low did you think I'd go before I'd self-implode, before I had to go be free? It's Jude! How much sad do you think I have in me? How much tragedy? Just how low do you think I'd go? Literally, it's Jude! I can't cope. Oh my god! Final part. Last page. Hello, welcome back. Hi. It's a while later, and by a while I mean it's the 10th of January, guys, so it's 9 days after I finished. It's literally right at the bottom of the shelf as well because I don't want to see it ever again. This, we're done. I can finally, after I've finished editing this part of the video, we can be done forever, and I can put it to bed, and I never have to think about it again. I haven't even thought about it. I literally, the whole point of taking a break, just want to point out, I did throw the book on the floor twice. Thankfully the page is not ruined. That is what I think of A Little Life, guys. That is honest to God. Do I recommend this book? Absolutely. 10,000 billion% no. I mentioned so many times about going in blind. I do not think you should read this book if any of the trigger warnings are a trigger for you. There are so many different things that can trigger people. I went into this thinking that nothing triggered me. Apparently it does. I did say at one point that I was going to burn it if it came, like if it ended the way that I think it did, and it did end exactly the way that I thought it did. I'm not burning it because I paid money for it, so I'm literally burning money. I would say I'll give it to a charity shop for somebody else to, I would say, enjoy, but there's literally no enjoyment about this book. There is literally nothing in that book that I enjoyed apart from the fact that it made me feel so deeply. Really sad that it didn't reach the, like, I finished it on the 1st of this year and not New Year's Eve, because then it didn't go towards my like yearly Goodreads record and everything. Yes, I do understand the contradiction of by me posting this video. It kind of piques you guys' interest in like, oh, a book that bad, I kind of want to read it. No, you don't. And if you do, don't read it on the consensus that you've watched my video and thought, oh, wow, that looks like it's going to be painful, let me read that. Like, I don't want absolutely any part of your decision whether you read this book or not. I still haven't even rated it, guys. It's been, like I said, 9 days. I don't know what to rate it. I honestly, for the story, I still, even thinking about it and like to split it up into different parts of like rating it on different things, I can't even think of like what to rate it on that. The actual kind of graphicness of it would be a 10 out of 10, only for the fact that it was so graphic. I felt like I was almost feeling what was happening within the book. Like I said, it was that realistic, so it gets a 10 from that. But for storyline, I want to say 0 out of 10 because it was that painful, it was that horrible. I don't know, so like I said, one end of it deserves like a 10 out of 10, and then the other end of it deserves like a 0 out of 10. So, and I don't want to meet in the middle because I really don't actually want to reward it any kind of award, or like a 3 out of 5, or I don't want to give it any kind of rating in a sense, because if I don't rate it, then I don't have to. I don't agree with any of it. Just want to point that out. I do not agree with this book, but I feel like if I don't rate this book, I can just leave it at that. I can just say, right, I've not rated it, I don't know what to rate it. If I don't rate it, then I'm not kind of missing something. I don't know. That is it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I do apologise for the crying. I try not cry in public, but I thought, you know what, if I'm making the video, I need to be authentic as I can. So you obviously saw the ugly parts. I do ugly cry. Do apologise. Bye to you guys. And then I just want to say, oh, I did bend it. Look, I've ruined it. I don't care. Like I said, I really don't care about this book. I've crumpled it. Goodbye YouTube for this video, and goodbye Hanya. This is what I think of your book. Bye!